Hey guys, welcome to another episode of Rendezvous. If you're new here, I'm Kaya, and if you're not new here, welcome back. Before we get into today's episode, I just want to say that I'm so sorry that I didn't get to upload anything last week. Unfortunately, I got food poisoning and I was in so much pain and too sick to record anything, and yeah, but I'm here, I'm back, and I'm excited for today's episode, so let's get into it. We all have those glitch in the matrix moments where you're just like, did that just happen? What just happened? And you're just like, your brain is like error right now. I can say that I have those moments at least once a year. That's what I'm going to say. I'm not going to say I have them a lot. I'll say at least once a year. But yeah, so today we're going to be reading some Glitch in the Matrix stories. Okay, and by the way, these stories don't have the names of the authors. So we're not going to be mentioning them after each story or before each story. So this one's called A Creepy General Tso Story. Me and my friend were at a Chinese restaurant and we ordered a General Tso chicken dinner and a shrimp lo mein dish. When we sat down, we took out both boxes and set them on the table about 2 feet apart. My friend opens the first box and we see a shrimp lo mein dish. It has all the things in there: noodles, shrimp, fried rice. He closes the box and opens the other box. Inside that box is another shrimp lo mein dish: shrimp, noodles, fried rice. Oh, I think. They must have mixed the order. I was just about to say this when my friend says out loud, "Looks like they made a mistake and gave us 2." As he opens the first box again, inside of it is a General Tso chicken dinner order. General Tso chicken, white rice, and an egg roll. He froze and looked at me. I looked back at him, and we sat in silence. It took us 5 or so minutes to collect ourselves. I have no idea what happened. I also have no idea what happened. I feel like that is a big glitch in the Matrix moment for sure, because you know that you guys opened the first box and it definitely was not General Tso chicken, and then you open it again and it is. That is definitely a glitch in the Matrix moment for sure. Okay. This one is the ice cream stain. So it says, I spilled chocolate ice cream on my leg. I wiped it off and there was still a pale brown stain in the shape of the ice cream splotch. I told my mother, who said it was a birthmark. I will swear under oath that never before that moment did I have a birthmark there. Okay, not only is that a glitch in the Matrix moment, that is kind of scary. How was that birthmark not there before, but your mother is sure that it was there? That's like a, what it's giving? It's something I can't remember if I read this or I watched it or something. I'm not sure. But it was basically about this thing where sometimes you don't recognize yourself, and you don't recognize yourself because I don't really know how to explain this, but it's kind of like you're coming from another universe, but you don't realize that you are not the same you that you were, whether it's last week or something like that. But if you look in the mirror and you don't recognize yourself, that's the reason. Yeah, it's like a you from another universe, basically. And yeah, I don't really know how to explain it. Once I find it, I will talk about it in a future episode and explain it to you guys, because when I heard that, it was mind blowing, and I was like, because you do have that moments where you look in the mirror and you're like, I don't recognize this girl, but I like her, and that just made it make sense. Obviously it's not a fact or scientific fact or something like that, but it was just I think it was on TikTok actually. I think it was a guy explaining what that could be, the reason for that. So like that, this kind of seems like what that is. Like, okay, you didn't realize that you had a birthmark there because you didn't, but like now you do because like it's you, but like from a different universe or whatever. Okay, so this next one is called "The Hotel Room Shifted Beneath Us as We Slept." I was on a road trip with family once. We stayed at a hotel for a night. Our room was nothing more than 2 beds and a restroom with a big ass mirror on across from the beds. Everyone went to sleep but me. I stayed up playing a mobile game I was addicted to at the time. At about 2 a.m., I went to sleep. When I woke up, I noticed something was just ever so slightly off. The mirror was gone. The room had 2 separate bedrooms, and there were 3 beds. Apparently, I was the only one who noticed it because my family called me crazy. Still confused to this day as to what happened. That, to me, is just kind of similar to the other story in the way where it's just like you didn't notice, but your family noticed that it was the way it is, but like for you it was different. It's like, was there a leak in the Matrix? Okay, this one is called "Her Cell Phone Teleported from One Place to Another." My friend and I were talking to our roommate and her girlfriend one night. Roommate had just received her new phone and was sitting in bed using it while the 4 of us chatted. So roommate had sat her phone down while we were all chatting. She goes to pick it back up and it's gone. Like she had just sat it down for a few minutes tops before she noticed that the thing has poofed. I call it for her and we can't hear it. We take the comforter and sheets off the bed and shake them all out. We look under the bed, behind it, everywhere we can. That phone is gone. Even though we hadn't left her room at all during our conversation when the phone disappeared, we tore apart the whole apartment trying to find it. Finally, we decided to try her car. It was in the locked trunk. We lived on the 3rd floor and were all in the same room watching her use it before it teleported. I feel like this has more to do with like a supernatural situation and not really a glitch in the Matrix, because the fact that it's teleported, like it's giving Paranormal Activity for sure. But do I believe that this happened? 100%. I 100% do, because things like this has happened to me before. It's crazy, it's weird, but yeah. And when it does happen, I don't think glitch in the Matrix. I think more supernatural, Paranormal Activity. Okay, so this one's called "I Saw and Heard a Disembodied Hand Smacking My Nightstand." Okay. Just need to take a little moment. All right. I was putting makeup on, and from the corner of my eye, I saw what looked like the shadow of a hand slap down onto my nightstand. Would have dismissed it as my brain playing tricks on me or something, but I heard it too, and it sounded like a really loud smack. Was weird, but I've experienced so many small, unusual incidents like this, things randomly falling or shaking, so I guess I've become apathetic to it. That was the first time I ever actually heard the thing too, though. She saw the shadow of a hand. Yeah. That, not glitch in the Matrix, love. That is definitely some Paranormal Activity. I remember once, like speaking of things falling, I remember once I was in my old room and I was like literally in front of my mirror, doing my hair, and I don't even know how to explain it. It's weird. It's like, you know, when someone is like upset, for example, they're upset and like they just like throw everything off from like the table, falls on the floor. That's what happened, but like there was no one there and it wasn't as rough. But that's what happened. Like everything that was on my dresser just like fell on the floor. Even the stuff that wasn't even anywhere near the edge of the dresser fell on the floor. Like someone pushed it on the floor. And yeah. Obviously, if you've listened to one of the previous episodes, you know that that's not my first paranormal experience. But yeah, this definitely was not the first in that bedroom. But definitely Paranormal Activity, not Glitch in the Matrix. Okay, so this one says, it's called I Found a Photograph That Defies the Laws of Reality. I went to camp when I was around 12-ish. Took one of those disposable film cameras with me. Cell phones were still in flip phone phase and I didn't have one. Took a picture of two people I made friends with there. One of them appears in the photo twice in two different poses entirely. Still weirds me out when I come across that photo. I don't know why. I feel like this one is like a glitch with the camera film itself and not really glitch in the matrix. I don't know. What do you guys think? Let me know in the comments. Okay, this one is called I Experienced a Moment Where Time Stayed Frozen. When I was a teenager, I was in my room and decided to go to the kitchen to make a sandwich. I looked at the clock before I left, 6:48 p.m. Went to the kitchen, made an awesome sandwich, got some chips and a drink. This probably took me at least 10 minutes. When I walked back into my room, the clock still said 6:48 p.m. I stood there for a bit really confused when it turned to 6:49. That's a weird glitch in the matrix moment for sure. This ad is brought to you by The Entertainer. Save up to 60% off in travels when you use code 10160. That's TEN160. You can get offers on food and beverages, attraction and leisure, 5-star hotels, and so much more. You'll wonder how you ever lived without it. That's TEN160 at checkout. And this offer is available for countries in the Middle East, Asia, and Africa. Just go to theentertainerme.com. This one's called Multiple Drivers Experience a Time Jump on the Same Street. Had a friend who was convinced something was wrong with the area between the nearby town and his home. Or maybe it was his car. He claimed that many times he'd leave work and somehow be home 5 minutes later when it was a 15 to 20 minute drive. It was crazy. He wasn't the only one to experience it either. Happened to a few friends that rode with him. Definitely weird stuff. Definitely weird stuff. Yes, indeed. This one is called I Answered a Phone Call That the Other Person Never Actually Experienced. I was sitting in my office one day when my desk phone rings, and it is my under sheriff asking me to bring him all the reports / dispatch logs / any documentation ref to a specific. So I get it all together and start towards his office. I meet him in the hallway and hand him the paperwork. He asked what it was. I told him it's the documentation you asked for. He then swears he never asked me for it, that he had just arrived and had not called my office. He was on his way down to the hall to ask me to get it together. So he was on his way to tell you to actually get that documentation? It's either one of two things. This is either one of two things. Either it was a prank call, like not like an actual prank call, but like maybe somebody in your office called and pretended they were him. I don't know. Or definitely a glitch in the matrix. Or some Paranormal Activity. I feel like this story is more giving Paranormal Activity because you actually got a call. I do not know. Let me know what you guys think of this one as well. This one's called I Knew the Words About to Be Said Before They Left Anyone's Lips. To this day, I cannot explain what happened. Was watching TV with friends and we landed on some old 80s movie I used to watch over and over but hadn't seen in a long time. I had the dialogue memorized and it all instantly came back and I knew what was going to be said next. Here's the freaky part. We changed channels and kept trying to find something to watch. I noticed that everything we watched was the same. I knew every line of dialogue as if I was remembering it from having memorized it. These were all things I had never watched before. Here's the real freaky part. It started happening even when my friends were talking. An instant before they said anything, I knew word for word what they were saying. The effect only lasted an hour or so, but it was so bizarre. I feel like this story is the definition of us living in a simulation. Because, like, I don't know, do you guys get that sometimes? Like, is any of this around me real? Like, it feels like a simulation a lot sometimes. And I feel like this is a perfect example of how we might be living in a simulation. You know what I mean? Like, this person knew every line of what was going to be said, whether it was on TV or one of their friends. Okay, this one is called I Had Inside Knowledge on Strangers That I Had Never Met Before. Sometimes I'll be talking to someone I've never met, and very specific facts about them will pop into my consciousness out of nowhere. Like, this person had a golden retriever that died in 2009. Then they'll inevitably bring up the fact that I mentioned without me saying anything first. Sometimes seconds later, sometimes years. That's interesting. Okay. My sister swore she had a conversation with me that never occurred in our reality. Every once in a while, I have dreams about places or people I've never seen. Then about 6 to 7 months later, I'm in the place or with the people and have deja vu. I also sing random songs, even when something else is playing on the radio. Then the next song that plays is what I was singing. I've done this on mine, my best friends, and my girlfriend's iPods on shuffle many, many times, and it freaks them out every time. One super weird thing, though, happened in about 2012-ish. I was 19 and living at home with my parents and a younger sister still. I came home from work from my job at a barbecue place, and my sister says to me, "Oh, I thought you said you were off today." I'm confused because I left at 5 a.m. before anyone was awake, and I asked her, "When did I say that?" She says to me, "Like 2 hours ago in your room." She thinks I'm screwing with her, so I tell her to smell me because you can smell the barbecue sauce and smoke on me. Then she gets really creeped out and tells me that she had went into my room earlier and seen me in bed with covers up to my neck and had a 15-minute conversation with me. That really creeped me out, and I never felt comfortable in that room ever again. Yeah, I'm I'm just gonna say it. This is definitely Paranormal Activity. This is not Glitch in the Matrix. No, this is Paranormal Activity. She saw someone in your bed. Like, she literally saw someone in your bed. And you guys were having a conversation for 15 minutes. Even if the conversation, let's just say it was one-sided and you didn't reply. Let's just say that didn't happen. It was a one-sided conversation. She saw you in your bed. Yeah, no. I would throw the whole bed away. I would throw the whole room away. Like, at this point, I'm moving into another room because I'm not staying in there. Hell no. That is so creepy. Okay, this one's called My Cup Jumped from Place to Place Without Any Reasonable Explanation. So it says, when I was about 9, I was eating dinner in my room for some reason. I was sat on my dresser that had a big mirror, and my dad came in to check on me. He asked me if I wanted some more tea, to which I said yes and handed him my cup. I watched him walk out and close the door. Looked over to see my cup full of tea right from where I picked it up. I asked my dad about it. He said he never came in my room. Okay, you guys, I thought we were supposed to be like reading Glitch in the Matrix stories because these right now are really freaking me out. These are not Glitch in the Matrix. These are Paranormal Activity 100%. You guys are seeing people. You're seeing people walk in your room. You're seeing people sleeping in your bed. These are like full on. I have no words. I have literally no words. This and even the title is misleading. My cup jumped from place to place. Babes, you saw your dad come in your room and give you the tea. I'm gonna like start crying because this stuff is creepy. This is like real creepy stuff right here. What? Okay. This one is called He Had a Vivid Hallucination of a Car Crash That Could Have Happened. Here's one from my brother. I don't think our mom believed him, but I certainly do. He seemed spooked when he got home. He was sitting in the passenger seat, driving home alongside my mom. A bright green car swerved and hit them, knocking bits and pieces of glass into his arm. He jolted awake afterwards, just in time to see the green car pass them. He claimed he felt the marks the glass left afterwards too. So this car accident actually happened. So from what I'm understanding, the glass didn't go into his arm or anything like that, but he had a really vivid hallucination of that happening. And he felt the marks. Damn. This one says, I made a completely random guess that turned out to be true. I was waiting tables about 12 years ago, and my coworker forgot to put in a food order for a 3-top table. He also forgot what the order was. I was laughing at him, stressing out, trying to figure it out. And I said it was probably fried mozzarella, a cheeseburger with no onions, and chicken fingers. I was completely joking, and that was their exact order. It freaked me out. I made him let me run the food to the table to make sure he wasn't pinged with me. That is crazy. 2 total strangers had the same dream about meeting each other, which came true. This didn't happen to me, but to my dad. He works for a heating and air conditioning company, so he often has to go out to people's houses to fix things. About 5 years ago, he told me he had a bizarre dream where he went on a call to an elderly woman's house. He'd never seen the house or this woman before, but he said it was bizarre because of how realistic the whole thing felt. He fixed her boiler in the dream, chatted for a bit, and then left. About a week later, his company gets a call from an elderly woman needing her boiler fixed. They send my dad on the job. When he arrived, he said it was the exact same house from his dream and the same old lady. He knew her name before he even had to ask and knew his way around the house without having gone inside yet. When she opened the door, she said, "Hi, Gary." And when he asked how she already knew his name, she said she had a dream last week that her boiler broke and that my dad is the one who came to fix it. So she just knew that would be his name. 2 complete strangers, never having met each other, had the exact same dream that they would meet each other. And they did. The whole thing is so crazy. That is... I don't even know what to say. Like, when I was reading this, I'm like getting chills the whole time. Because 2 people literally having the same dream. But like, can that happen to me? But like, someone I want to actually meet? Like, hello? Make that happen. Okay, this one is called The Voice. When I was 10 or 11, I was going to the beach with my aunt and her friends. There were 2 cars of us. To get there, we had to go through a very large industrial area. We didn't know the direction, so our car was following the other. Suddenly, they did an unexpected turn, and so our driver had to take a sharp bend. In that moment, we heard a very loud voice inside the car saying, laughing, "Sharp bend, The driver immediately hit the brakes. We looked at each other, puzzled. We all recognized it as a voice not belonging to any of us. In the very same time, we noticed that the other car has stopped as well. The other driver got out of the car with a scared face and shouted to us, Did you hear that as well?" They heard the very same thing inside their car. The area around was full deserted. Yeah, that's definitely why. That is definitely why. You just solved this mystery for us. The area was deserted, which means paranormal activity. Any place you go that's deserted, any place you go where like it's abandoned, no one goes there, no one, like nothing, these things are gonna happen. The weirdest of things will happen to you in those places, which is why I avoid places like that at all costs. Because no thanks, no thank you, nope. Okay, this one is called Voices in the Wilderness. I'm from Finland, and that's also where these things I'm about to describe to you happened. This was some years ago, pre-smartphone GPS era. It was the end of the summer, and myself and two friends were on a camping trip way up in the north, in Lapland. The mosquito season was over, and the weather was cooling down in anticipation of the coming fall. The three of us had packed food and gear for a 10-day trek. The car we arrived in had been left at the parking lot of a visitor center. This happened within the premises of the... Okay, I'm not sure how to pronounce this. Urho Kekkonen National Park, a 985 square mile stretch of wilderness near the Russian border. The terrain there varies greatly, from treeless and semi-mountainous to dense forests of spruce and pine and dwarf birch. There are lots of swamps. Seeing reindeer is not uncommon, and some nights you might hear wolves in the distance. You can run into a bear or a wolverine in this place, but of course, normally they avoid people. We mostly camped in a tent, but some nights we used shelters in simple huts provided for travelers free of charge. The trip had lasted 5 days. We were at the furthest of any kind of civilization we were going to be on that particular outing, truly in the middle of nowhere. There really is nothing there. There are no villages, towns, or industry. The place is a national park after all. Seeing other hikers happen from time to time. You'd see some people in the distance maybe. Very rarely would you come face to face with anyone. So in the middle of our trip, we were camped in a small clearing, woodland, extending around us for a considerable distance in all directions. It was already dark, we had eaten our evening meal, and all three of us were jammed in our only tent. It was a bit cramped, but we fit. We took turns carrying it during the hikes. We were just exchanging some jokes and crude humor in the dark, like guys in their 20s do, about to go to sleep in our sleeping bags. When we quieted down, we began to hear it, talking, and the sound of machinery. Given our location, this was profoundly weird. We camped in a tent because there were no huts nearby. Maybe there was another camp somewhere near us. We couldn't quite make out what was being said, but it was a human voice, no doubt about it. But nothing really could explain the sound of heavy machinery. It sounded like an excavator or a tank, something big, powerful, and really not too far away. Combined with the sound of talking, we thought construction yard. But at that time of night, in an unpopulated, protected nature reserve, we got out of our tent. It was cold and pitch black. The campfire had some coals still glowing. We took out our flashlights. My two buddies have always been a lot braver than me. The sound was clearly coming from the north, maybe half a kilometer away. We thought the construction might be going on behind a small hill some distance away. We could see no lights or anything. We still could not make out what was being said. The speaking-like voice was monotonous, and it was impossible even to say what language was being used. Still sounded a lot like a person speaking, though. You may be aware of this sort of spooky phenomenon of hearing a human voice in static. Maybe you've used a blow dryer and been sure someone is talking, turn it off, and it was just something the brain tried to interpret from the steady hum. Maybe it was sort of like that. It's hard to explain. The machinery-like sound continued, not loud, but you could sort of make out the powerful engine, at times accelerating or adding power, at times at idle. My two friends resolved to go find out what was going on. We put our warm clothes back on, donned boots, and I sat next to the dying fire, adding some more wood to it. I would stay at camp while my buddies left to check out this mystery construction yard in the middle of nowhere in the Lapland woods. So there I sat. The guys took out their maps, took a compass, heading, and left, and I could hear them make their way through the forest, see the light from their flashlights. Then they were gone. The weird sounds continued and altered. They were gone 15 minutes, then maybe 30, then the better part of an hour. It was odd, judging by the volume of the sound. They should have reached it, checked it out, and been back already. I added more firewood and tried to make out what the person talking was saying, but it was too tinny and obscure. Okay, before we continue into the story, I just want to say, hello. We know to never split up. That's just something that you don't do. You don't split up ever. You hear a weird noise, you ignore it, or you all go it together. Personally, I would suggest that you do not go to that noise because it's most likely something trying to attract you, and we don't want that. No, thank you. So just ignore the noise. That's what I would do. Or leave or something. But to go check out the noise, and on top of that, you guys spread out, half of the two of them are gone while you're just sitting there in the woods by yourself. Yeah, no. How many people have to die in movies for us to know that you don't split up? Anyways, where did we stop? Okay. The guys had been away for over 2 hours. I figured they had stayed for coffee with the construction guys or something. Then the sound stopped, just like that. It just ended, all at the same time. The engine sound and the voice both just quit. It was very silent. I waited for another 30 minutes, very worried now that something had happened, that maybe my friends were lost. Should I go and try to find them? I shouted their names several times and built the fire pretty big. I was scared when suddenly I saw the flashlights of my friends. Apparently, they were returning in a hurry. The guys got back to camp out of breath. They told me the following. They had followed the sound beyond the small ridge in the distance. There was nothing there, and it seemed like they were not getting any closer to the source of the sounds. They had to stop every now and then, be quiet, and listen to it to be able to walk towards it. They walked and stopped like this for some time, then realized they were not getting any closer. The sounds did not change in volume at all. They decided to go just a bit further, several times, when suddenly the sound just stopped like someone pressed a button on a recording. They realized they had been going on for a long time. They were in the middle of the dark woods alone. They reversed the heading and started back at a brisk pace. Eventually, they saw my big-ass fire from the top of a hill and found their way back. The weird thing is, we seemed to think the sound stopped at different times. They had been gone for 2.5 hours in total. They said the sound stopped at around the 1 hour, 15 minutes mark after they left. They then started to head back immediately, return trip taking a bit longer even though they had kept a good pace. They apparently wandered around a bit. For me, the sound stopped at the 2-hour mark, just 30 minutes before they returned. We did not sleep that night. Nothing more happened on that trip, and we never found out what that weird construction yard-like sound was about. When we returned to the park's visitor center some 5 days later, we asked around, but no one knew of any ongoing construction taking place in the whole national park area. Been bugging me ever since. I have actually read a story before about people playing sounds in the woods so that people can go to them and then they get kidnapped or whatever. So if I hear a sound in the woods, I'm definitely not going towards it, period. I don't care if it's screaming help or whatever, because it's definitely a trap, whether it's a human trap or a paranormal trap, whatever it may be, it's definitely a trap. This was not a glitch in the Matrix moment. Definitely, this was not a glitch in the Matrix. This was definitely some supernatural stuff. But that's all the stories for today, guys. If you like this episode, let me know in the comments below or send me a message on Anchor FM. And if you want another episode like this, we can do a part 2 of glitch stories. Just let me know. Don't forget to follow and subscribe so that you get notified when new episodes come out, which is every Friday. And another thing too, go follow me on Instagram at Rendezvous W Kaya. So that's RendezvousWkaya. Thank you so much for listening today and spending some time with me. Until next time.